What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about some more about these food addictions, okay? And in particular, the addicting part of sugar. Now, a drug is defined by any substance that can be considered otherwise other than food. So it could be a food substance but considered otherwise that has drug-like effects. It is then considered a drug. For example, if you eat chicken cartilage, this is just an example, if you eat the cartilage off the chicken and chew it up and it helps your joints, that's fine, that's a natural food. However, if you take the chicken cartilage, store it all up, dry it out in the microwave, pulverize it and put it in a capsule, and then it has an effect on your joints, you are now manufacturing drugs. By law, that's how it works, okay? So, what are you supposed to do as far as what's considered a drug and what's not? Like, some people will say, well, you know, the sugar in the Pop-Tarts is not that big of a deal, and macro is a macro. Let's face facts. A sweet potato does not have the same effect on the brain that sugar does. And you can argue with me all day long, it really doesn't matter, because the people that right now that are arguing, you're not looking at the studies that I'm looking at, because you haven't even heard of these studies yet. Unless you sought this shit out, it doesn't just fall in your lap. I've actually sought this stuff out to have a better understanding of why people can't kick that sugar habit. Now, caffeine is another one. Some people will say, oh yeah, absolutely, caffeine's a drug. It absolutely has drug-like effects. But what about the caffeine that's in green tea and coffee? That's a naturally occurring caffeine. It's not a drug. It comes from the coffee bean. However, it is a drug. So is it really that much of a stretch to consider something like sugar that could come from sugar cane could be a drug too? Possibly. Fine. Now, let's go a little more in depth about how this works. Now, the sugar, which has the addictive possibilities, in some people, their brains can map the way that the brain works, and it can actually look for that to release endorphins, to release serotonin, dopamine, everything, to give you a feel-good feeling. Okay, so now once that remapping happens, it's like following a road. So now the brain is constantly following that road, looking for that sugar to give it that feeling, to give it that good feeling, to give it that dopamine rush, to give it that endorphin rush, to feel good. So now it no longer becomes just a macronutrient or just a plant or a food source. It actually becomes a drug that makes you feel good. Now, what are you supposed to do if this happens? If you're the type of person who can have one cookie and that's it, fine. Your brain doesn't map like this and you don't understand. However, if you're the type of person that has one cookie and that leads to 4 boxes of cookies because you can't stop, your brain maps like that. And, you know, it's just like anybody else. Like some people, like I tried cocaine so many times but could just stop doing it. However, opiates, that's the one that got me. That's the way my brain was mapped. Many of my friends could take Vicodin, shoot heroin, do whatever. They never got addicted to it, but they did a little bit of coke. They were hooked like that and off and running. That's the way their brains were mapped. So, what are you supposed to do if your brain is mapped for the sugar? You have 2 options, okay? One option is to not go near the sugar anymore. Now, this option may seem a little bit extreme, but it depends on how addicted you are to this sugar. If you're at the point where you're 500 pounds and you can't stop shoveling cake and ice cream and cookies in your mouth, you may want to start thinking about staying away from this stuff altogether. There's a period of detox. Dr. Pam Peeke, look her up. Her book is very informative. And like I said, she's the one doing all these studies and research, and she actually lives in this area. There's a period of detox that your body goes through, just like if you went off of caffeine, just like if you went off of nicotine, when you went off of heroin, whatever, to where you actually may get withdrawal symptoms. And I'm not talking about like nicotine withdrawals where you shake or you may get anxiety without the sugar. You may get extreme cravings. There could be, you know, various different things that happen to you. But the bottom line is, once your body is detoxed from the sugar, you will now not crave the sugar. I mean, you'll still have a craving for it, but you're not going to be like, I need it. You're not going to be fiending for sugar like you were 3 weeks before. Now it is much more controllable, okay? So now you have the choice, if you know you can't stop, to not go ahead and eat it again. Now it may suck to be like, you know what, I have to go through life never eating a cookie again. But it's going to suck even more to walk through life 500 pounds and have shitty health and not be able to control what you eat. That's a lot suckier than not eating the cookie. And the only reason that you're pissed because you can't eat the cookie is because you're actually addicted to the sugar, and that's why you're pissed. That's your addiction talking. Now, some people may say, you don't know what you're talking about. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I know about addictions. I know how hard it is. And I know what it's like to never, ever be able to take another painkiller in my entire life. If I fall off the roof right now and break every bone in my body, Advil's the most I'm getting. And they would probably give it to me. They would probably give me Vicodin or whatever if I asked for it. Not going to happen because I know what happens. I get that one hit of Vicodin or Percocet or whatever, and I'll be off and running again. I don't want to be that 500-pound fat person scared of the cookies. Then there's a second type of person who says, I'm going to have one cookie and I'm going to fight the urge till it goes away because I don't want to not have cookies for the rest of my life. So now that I have one cookie, that's my limit, and whether you sit there and you stare at the box, you tap your feet, you shake, whatever happens, you're just not going to do it. Now that takes a lot of self-control and a lot of willpower because you are not going to go through that detox period. Your body's going to want it. It's going to crave it. It's going to push you to get it. Your addiction is absolutely going to do everything in its power to get you to put another cookie in your mouth. Okay? And at this point, it's willpower, stubbornness, I don't know what you want to call it, but that's the only way you're going to get through that. And you are going to fight that for the rest of your life, up and down, back and forth until you finally realize either I'm going to eat this stuff and be fat and unhealthy, or I'm just not going to eat it anymore and give it up because it's not doing anything good for me anyways. It's just the taste that is triggering this in my brain of the sugar. So if I get rid of the sugar, then I'll get rid of the taste, I won't have these issues. So sooner or later, everybody comes back around to that first one where you just got to stay away from it altogether. Like I said, this may sound completely crazy to some of you, but some of you are probably getting what I'm saying right now and understand this is what's going on. This is why I can't control myself. This is why if I open a bag of potato chips, I can't just have one chip. It's not the potatoes that are made into the chips. It's not the salt. It's the chemicals they put in it. That's why no one can eat just one. They put chemicals in it that makes your brain want more. What about the Chinese food with the MSG? Your body gets addicted to the MSG and wants more. Your brain signals for it. It wants more of the MSG. That's why you're hungry again. There's so many things that go into play with these foods that it's not just a physical thing. It's a mental thing. It's a physical thing. It's a physiological thing. It's a biological thing. I mean, it's a chemical thing. It's a chemistry thing because scientists are combining different chemicals to get different reactions. So your brain gets hooked on the new double-stuffed peanut butter, ultra jelly Oreo cookie. Like Oreos weren't good enough. You had to combine 5 other things chemical-wise to make your brain not be able to say no to it. So I hope this makes sense to some of you guys. And some of you I know right now are watching this going, holy shit, that's me. And other guys are watching this going, that's bullshit. It's mind over matter, blah, blah, blah. Well, the bottom line is, those people with the mind over matter that are making fun of the other people that actually have the problem with it, you have something too. It may not be cookies, it may not be booze, but you got something that eats at you like a little devil on your shoulder on a daily basis. So don't judge because you're in the same boat that they are with something. Everybody is. BioSCTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biosctraining.com is the blog, and we're out.